Welcome back, everybody. Now, the ANC has been hard at work this week, galvanizing support and going door to door, asking people to support the party, to support the party in the elections, and as well as, inviting the people and the electorate to the stadium, to the Mandela Park Stadium, as the party celebrates its 113th birthday anniversary. We now cross to our reporter, Unathi Batyashe, for an update on what's happening in Khayelitsha this morning. A very good morning to you, Unathi. Thank you so much for joining us. What can you tell us at this point?
A very good morning, Simpiwe, and of course to our viewers. Well, we are coming to you live from the Mandela Park Stadium right here in Khayelitsha. I can tell you now the gates are opening any moment now, but I've seen already that, ANC members and supporters are already starting to trickle in. Of course, this park is right inside the community of, Khayelitsha. So, of course, we are right at the center and at the heart of essentially where ANC leaders have been doing walkabouts, have been engaging with community members and crisscrossing essentially across the Western Cape ahead of today's event. Of course, as you've rightfully indicated, it is a January 8th statement that will be delivered by the ANC's president today at around about 11 o'clock. So just a few moments from now, of course, ANC President Cyril Ramaphosa is expected to arrive just before 9 a.m. But to tell us more, of course, I'm joined here by the ANC's national spokesperson, Mahlengi Bengu Mutsiri, to just give us a sense of what today signifies for the ANC. Of course, Mahlengi, a very good afternoon, a very good morning, actually, to you. It's just before 7. I have to say it is bright and sunny in the Western Cape. Last night, you held your gala dinner. Of course, that was one of the final events, I would say, before the January 8th statement. Just talk us through the significance of today. Of course, this is the first January 8th statement that comes in the GNU era. It also comes after the ANC significantly lost the electorate in terms of numbers, dropping by around 17% of the electorate, from 57% to around 40% in the national and provincial election. It must be one of those pivotal moments for you. What can we expect this morning from the president of the ANC?
113 years of any organization is no mean feat. And so we are going to use today to really do a thorough reflection of where we come from and the hits that have been there in the process and some of the misses, and what it is that we intend to do about areas of weakness and those areas that are challenging the stature of the ANC in society and its ability to complete the historical injunction for a national democratic society and a social order that works for all, particularly the poorest of the poor. When the ANC was formed in 1912 as the South African Native National Congress then, and to be later renamed African National Congress in 1923, there was only one mission and one mission alone: to lead the liberation of the people of South Africa politically and economically. And we do know that economic emancipation is something that still has got to be a struggle for, that people still yearn for. So the significance of today is really looking back to the first January 8th statement in 1972 and what that historical injunction was about and where are we today. And what is it, what message we aim to communicate to the people of South Africa about the tasks ahead, particularly in the light of some of the electoral outcomes and a number of other things that requires the ANC to undergo a thorough process of organizational renewal and organizational rebuilding. So you could say it is a celebration, but it is also a moment of reflection.
The ANC has been doing a lot of reflection, of course, following the May 29, 2024 election. Having walked around many communities here in the Western Cape, really symbolizing what a lot of South Africans are experiencing across, the board in terms of the lack of service delivery. And having just heard some of the voices of ordinary South Africans who are saying that we are constantly suffering. What is the ANC promising the people of South Africa, particularly when you know that in Khayelitsha especially, when we look around us, I mean, we are here and we see the backdrop of how South Africans are living. They are be crying in terms of, the promises and the new dawn of the ANC of the yesteryear. Those promises are not yet met. We are seeing endemic corruption. We also know, of course, that the people of South Africa are just wanting basic services. I mean, we've heard what some of the people had to say, not only to your ANC president, but also the deputy president, the young man in his home who really did not want politicians to keep on the rhetoric of promises, but actually wants to see things happening. What is that going to, how are you going to capture those sentiments in your January 8th statement?
Quite a lot of questions rolled in one, Unathi. And I do want us to debunk a few myths, though. Let me start with that one. Do have a look at the clip that was that had the young man putting matters into perspective, that it had nothing to do with him not wanting the ANC in the family. By his own words, it's out there, it's viral. I can share it with SABC. And so it's important to clarify that, because, a lie so repeatedly told soon becomes the truth. That doesn't take away the fact that we must be concerned about issues of service delivery. But at the same time, again, let's debunk the myth that it is national government that is responsible for the tale of cities in Cape Town. It is not the national government. It is local government. It is provincial government. In the context of intergovernmental relations, yes, national government has some role to play, including grants, municipal grants, and so on. But how those grants are spent and where they go to, those are political decisions, executive decisions that are taken at the level of the city of Cape Town. What you see here in Kunkuma, the rubble, sewage, you go to Delft, you go to Philippi, you witness for yourself what we are talking about when we talk about the tale of cities. And no amount of spinning by the Democratic Alliance is going to undo the fact that the conditions under which the people who live in Khayelitsha, who live in Guguletu, Nyanga, Gwalanga, Delft, Philippi, their conditions are totally diametrically opposed to the conditions that you see in the affluent parts of South Africa. And I've heard on my way here one of the DA leaders saying, don't tell us about that, look at also informal settlements in Gauteng. It is not about what about. It is simply about the fact that the people of Cape Town, people of the Western Cape, they themselves deserve to feel the full fruits of freedom. And when the ANC is not doing it, the ANC must do well, because ultimately people don't care who's in government. They are looking for a government that works to deliver services to our people. But to go back, and I think it's important to say, as much as there are those challenges, we've got to agree that South Africa is not the same place that we found in 1994. In 1994, we didn't have women in higher education. We didn't have women pilots that we have today. We didn't have scientists of different disciplines among young people, among black people, among African females. Access to higher education completely and hugely restricted, and as I say, particularly in the natural sciences. I'm just using the story about transformation of education, notwithstanding some of the stubborn challenges. We could go on to access to healthcare, primary and so on. So I think that it is important to have a sense of balance all the time.
All right. Mahlengi, as we wrap up our conversation, of course, you mentioned local government, and that's important because a significant part of this year, we will see a lot of political parties campaigning on the ground ahead of the 2026 local government elections. What are your concerns as the ANC, especially looking at the backdrop of where you find yourselves now, particularly when we look back and reflect to the 2024 elections, but also your internal turmoils as it stands today, and also as you pave and continue to speak about your renewal program, just your concerns about the 2026 election and how you're going to be utilizing this year.
Let me start on a positive note. We are going to be reflecting and celebrating 130 years of the birth of the ANC, with the ANC having supported a stable municipality in the city of Tshwane, where the ANC has the position of the deputy mayor and some MMC positions, but work closely with the Action SA and other parties to stabilize that city. We are going to be celebrating when the ANC is in charge of the city of Ekurhuleni, and we're already seeing a number of North Stars rising in Ekurhuleni in terms of the stabilization of governance in that particular metro. And we are now in charge of Johannesburg. That's where we have a number of our challenges that are very stubborn, but that also requires a lot of decisive leadership on the part of the ANC and those that are working with the ANC in that city. So I am basically saying we've clawed back quite significantly in terms of the leadership of municipalities. Now we must make it count for the people. So we are going into the elections, the government elections, local government elections campaign far more stronger to contest that position. What will weaken that campaign is our failure to renew the organization. There must be significant, tangible evidence that we are winning that war in the year 2025. And I'm certain that the President will go at length to highlight the tasks related to the renewal of the organization and the rebuilding of the ANC and restoring the faith by the people of South Africa, on the African National Congress. And so as we say, happy birthday ANC, we are hugely mindful of the task before us to be that organization that our forefathers founded, that the South African people believed will take them where we need to go to achieve a national democratic society.
All right, thank you so much, Mahlengi, very much. All right, there you have it, a very optimistic ANC here ahead of that January 8 statement by ANC President Cyril Ramaphosa. We are expecting, as Simpiwe, of course, to happen around about 11 a.m. this morning. We will take our viewers live to that address by President Cyril Ramaphosa of the ANC party. Of course, you've heard what Mahlengi had to say in terms of being optimistic ahead of the 2026 elections. Some analysts that we spoke to have cautioned, of course, of not romanticizing, the ANC by looking at its past. But the ANC saying that this is a moment for them to reflect, but also to restore. But we'll continue to engage with some people that are also here from the ANC that will be engaging with community members here. The stage is set, as you can see behind me. We've got in this particular ground, I would call it a sports ground, I would call it a couple of chairs that are set out for delegates that will be attending today. But also right in front of me, you can obviously see that we've got what is called an overflow area, because the ANC is expecting around 22,000 or so people to converge here at the Mandela Park grounds. Well, from us here in Khayelitsha, it's back to you in studio.
All right, Unathi, thank you so much for that. Unathi is our reporter and news anchor there, Unathi Batyashe, at the Mandela Park Stadium in Khayelitsha. She's just in conversation with the ANC spokesperson, Mahlengi, and she was on a charm offensive trying to highlight some of the gains the ANC has made in the past decade and what the ANC seeks to achieve moving forward.